This is my commentary of my most recent personal best score. And in this game, the game was very lenient with me in terms of like random chance issues, RNG, whatever you want to call it. Which is good because I'm not the greatest player ever to play the game. I've been playing the game for a little over a year. And we see that even in 1-1 here, Mario is able to like do what's called barrel steering and just turn and face toward a barrel that's rolling toward a ladder, and the barrel will go down the ladder. Normally in 1-1, your steering is about as ineffective as it can be for the entire game, and it was really fine here. Some of these sections I'll fast forward through if I think there's not much to talk about. I start with the star pattern here, which is to take this rivet, and this rivet out. And normally I will wait to grab that hammer from over there and walk to the right until one of the firefoxes are in the way and I can smash them for points, but it's 1-1 and they're very slow, and I am not a patient man, so I just go. We'll talk more about rivets on later stages when the firefoxes are not so slow, because it will be easier to illustrate how I play rivets. There are 4 stages. There are barrels, there are Pie Factory, there's springs and rivets. Some people call springs elevators. It is actually called elevator, but I'm going to call it springs for the sake of the commentary, because yeah, there's springs, and that's basically all you do. And in this attempt for a kill screen is what basically this was. We failed the kill screen, but we got a pretty good score. I think the way I do barrels in levels 1 through 4 is pretty self-explanatory. This is spring level. This is the first time we encounter springs. And the general strategy is pretty easy. So I'll back up and I'll show this just because people ask about it all the time. I just reversed it to the point where he comes up here. This is the first generally safe area to stand after going up this ladder, is right with his foot aligned with the corner of that triangle right there. And we're going to wait there until the spring goes over our head, and then we're going to go to this area right here, second save area. And then we're going to wait for another spring to go over our head, and then we're going to go up. That's generally the way we do level 2. You could also stand on level 2. Sometimes you can get away with another strategy, which is to stand right there, and then as soon as the spring goes over your head, you can just rush right up this ladder, but you really gotta be on top of it. You gotta be, as soon as that spring is over your head, you gotta be right up that ladder. This time I decided to just be safe. We do the same thing here, star pattern. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We take out those rivets, and then there's some firefoxes in the way, so I just decided to smash them with a hammer. I probably could have waited for that guy, but since there's no other firefoxes really a challenge on the board, I just decided to walk over and smash him. I think that's perfectly fine in this particular board. Here we're going to do a thing that's called leeching, where we jump and then press to the right at the top of the jump. 100 points for each time we do that. And you get more points per second, a little over double, for doing the leeching over just exiting the level and taking the bonus. So that's why we do leeching. Here's some more barrels. This barrel, I didn't know where it was going to go, so I just decided to get out of the way, and then another one came. And then I wasn't sure I was going to live through that one, to be honest. This is... Okay, I want to show this. Let me find it again. We'll just fast forward through this. Hold on. I'll go back up to where I jumped here. This was fine. This is fine. Here, I decide to jump a barrel. And honestly, I don't know. Let's see if it's like... Let's see if it's actually safe to do this. Oh. Yeah, I think it is. Like, I jumped this barrel, and the barrel above me probably could hit me in the head if it decided to go down the ladder. Yeah, it totally could. It could have killed me. This is not a safe jump. Like, this was totally not a safe jump. I might have even accidentally steered that barrel down that Kong's ladder myself. I might have. There's no way to know. But yeah, I could have. I steered that one on purpose. And then I just jumped this one. This is overall a pretty good hammer for 3-1. Good hammer versus bad hammer. The good hammer is the one that gets the most points. It's as simple as that. Smash more barrels, do more. This is our first Pie Factory level. We'll talk about this one more also as we proceed through the game. But basically, I have an opening to go straight up, and I do. If I can get from the bottom to the top just like that. It's called a freebie or a Weeby freebie, named after Steve Weeby, who is a former champion in the game. Here we have springs again. Level 3-3 springs is a little bit different than the previous one. We're going to wait here for the spring to go over our head. And then we're going to go here. But this time, we have to wait for a spring to hit right between Kong's legs right here. And then when it goes over our head, then we can go. But it's not safe to go any other time in level 3-3. 3-4, we're back to rivets, and then we're going to do the star pattern again. Good. And then there's some firefoxes to hit, so we take the hammer and smash them. I can cross here if I want to. Right here I can choose to cross. Whether or not I choose to cross here and then proceed either up or down from here really depends on some factors. But mostly if there's a firefox that's over here that needs to be smashed, And the other factor is by going and crossing this, am I going to wind up trapping myself between two firefoxes where like there would be one over here and one over here, and it would be difficult to jump back and forth right here? I don't want to cross here if there's a challenge from a firefox on either side. And there is an error here. There's an error right here because I choose to do something here, which I think is probably a mistake. Like, okay, all of these firefoxes are going up, and there's really no reason why this platform above me would not be safe. So the smart thing really to have done here, instead of crossing right away, would be to go back, go up the ladder, grab this as quickly as possible, and smash all three of these, if I can. The reason why you would want to go up and get this hammer, if it's possible right away, is because you're reducing risk for every firefox that you smash and you send over to the left-hand side. The firefoxes will always spawn on the left-hand side if Mario is to the right of this ladder right here, to the right of the hammer, maybe. If Mario's on this side, then they'll spawn over here. And if they spawn over here, they're no risk at all because they can't cross this open hole. Okay. There are some things I might have done differently there. If I were to do that again, mostly I would go up and grab the hammer right away. The second hammer. 4-1, another barrels. The main threat in 4-1 is wilds or barrels that they don't roll, they just get thrown down like that. And wild barrels will readjust their trajectory sometimes toward Mario. As they touch every girder, like those pink girders going down. And I feel like I got extraordinarily lucky here in 4-1 that both of the wilds did not like just decide to change direction and smack Mario right in the face. Yeah, this is a little bit more challenging. Okay, we gotta go back, because, like... Okay, first things first. This is where I've determined, like, right here, this foot aligned with this little triangle right here, this is kind of where I've determined fireballs will always go and pop out the left-hand side if I stand to the left of this corner of this arrow right here. And this gives me the highest probability to go up this ladder and go up and do the Weeby Freebie all the way up. However, it's never guaranteed, and these fireballs just immediately come down and they create havoc. And I do something that's completely wrong here, and I go up this ladder knowing that I'm pinched now between definitely these two fireballs, but I'm also challenged to the left by this fireball, and I've really created a very risky scenario for myself, so there's that. I don't think I would play that the same way. I would just be more patient with this situation. But it does just happen to work out, and I get up there anyway. Played it wrong, but it had a good outcome. Just steered everything out of the way that I can. We have a great hammer because there's 4 barrels in a row, and the blue barrel can score 3 500 or 800. It gives us 500. It's some pretty good points there, and I choose to steer that one. I probably should have just hung back. In fact, I will show you kind of like there's an error here because in level 4, Donkey Kong can still line drive us with a wild barrel to the back, kind of from here to here, and just kill us pretty much instantaneously. Even if we're on guard, there's not really a guarantee that a wild can't kill us by being thrown from his position into this position. So the smart move here would have been to stay to the left of this broken ladder and just wait until the hammer was depleted. I make a lot of really, like, goofy errors, and I don't get punished for any of them, and there's just some extreme luck in this game for sure. I decided that that fireball was in the way to the jump to the right. I really don't think it was. I think I probably could have just gone, but I chose to take the safe path. We'll wait in the first safe position. Oh, this is the first time we see this version of springs. The springs are a little faster, and they're spaced a little bit differently in level 4, and they are exactly the same as this from this level forward. I go to the first safe position. Really I could be up a little more, and I wait for a spring to drop on his right foot toward the left edge of the screen. And there, when he does that, I inch up a little bit. Do we want to see this in slow-mo? We probably do. Okay. That dropped on his foot, right? Whoops. So this, see, I inch up a little closer to the ladder, and I let this go over my head, and I go to the second position. Right here, the safe spot. And now I'm going to wait for a spring to enter just below his legs. And the spring after that one, I want to see go on the right foot. That one went between his legs. I proceed, as soon as it goes over my head, I proceed to the ladder. And there I'm waiting, kind of, until I see the spring hit the foot. If the spring hits like close to the foot, I go right up the ladder. And I decided that that one was not good enough. I was wrong. But okay, here's another spring, goes over my head, hits the foot, I go directly up the ladder, I'm safe. Springs are really, really, really hard. I highly recommend that if you want to play or practice springs, that you save state those springs like right as you get to where the spring bounces, that platform, and you just practice from there. Just reload a save state and just practice your springs. A lot of people practice the game simply by playing the game. I just can't recommend that. you're not going to... Well, I mean, unless you're like an incredibly good player of all video games in general, then you're not going to like proceed to do really well in the game unless you're well practiced in springs, but you really can't practice springs without some form of save stating or some kind of trainer or something. So MAME, you can use the MAME emulator to save state your stuff and then practice the save states. You can do that for all the boards, really. Those are pretty good barrels. We steered a lot. We kept it safe. We jumped whatever we couldn't steer, and then we just proceeded. This is the first time we have 5 fireballs in highs, but none of these fireballs actually challenge our position, so we're able to just go for the weeby freebie. I know some of you probably won't want to watch the commentary for every single board in this recording, but I kind of want to make sure that this is appropriate for beginners as well, because that's one of the things I want to address as I'm proceeding through my own play, is to make sure that my instruction is helpful for others. I want to give back, you know? So many people have helped me, and I just want to give back. I jumped to the left here. In general, I'm just gonna... In general, as a rule, in the position that I'm in here when I go to jump to the left, the general rule that I have here is just to not jump to the left. What I should be doing here is falling back, jumping straight up, and then here, I should either be jumping straight up again, or I should be jumping to the right. I think I got freaked out by the fireball there that was coming up. And now that I know that I've done this, if I had it to do again, I probably would have just dealt with the fireball. I would have dealt with him being in the way and just kind of like, just figured it out, but like, yeah. We took our death, but this time we just casually steer everything out of the way. Amazingly, everything just gets out of the way and we just go up. Springs again. Springs in 05 are the same as 04. Wait for the foot. It goes over our head. We go to the second save spot, and we wait for the spring between the legs of Kong. And there. There was a second one between the legs, and I know that's unsafe, so I go back. Another one. That one really wasn't that safe. I'm very lucky that it didn't hit me. Kind of crazy. If you want to see what these springs look like when they are correct, just watch this video back and put it in like 0.5 speed, or maybe lower, like 0.25 speed. and then you can see exactly kind of where each spring lands and where I'm going, what my thought process is. All of these barrel boards are basically exactly the same. We're just steering as many barrels as we can out of the way, and then jumping everything that stays in the way. But for the most part, that platform right below Donkey Kong, we want all the barrels out of the way before we proceed up. And we also want to wait until Donkey Kong is releasing his barrel to the right before we go up the ladder, because if we don't, he could release it downward onto our head as a wild. There's a little bit of a challenge in this rivets board. I'm just trying to complete the first part of my pattern, and the Firefox gets in the way. The main thing you want to remember, if you decide to... the main thing you want to remember if you get challenged by a Firefox at any point in your play is just do not position yourself in a way where you might get pinched between two Firefoxes and you can't get out of the area that you're in. And for sure, do not put yourself into a position where you're pinched between two Firefoxes and you can't complete the level, because the bonus timer will run down, and when the bonus timer is at 0, you have 5 seconds to complete the level before you lose a life. Wilds from level 5 up do not course correct at each girder like they do in levels 1 through 4. They'll usually just sort of like gracefully land to Mario's left and not on him like they would prior to level 5. And for that reason, wilds are actually more favorable from level 5 up. We wait in the safe spot, and then we go up. I'm looking to see if the fireball is going to challenge my position. It does, so I proceed to just back up to a safe spot. There's a lot of pies now, though. Okay, that is definitely not a safe move. What I just did? Hold on. So I go up this ladder, and then I go here. And I grab the umbrella. With a fireball up here, this is not a safe play. That fireball could definitely have killed me. Easily. Easily, no problem, definitely could have killed me. For the most part, even going up this ladder earlier was not a safe play because I had one pie below me and one fireball above me, and if the fireball decided to come down at me, I would have had nowhere to go because I would be backing into a pie, which is not, you know, that is definitely a lost life. There's so many errors in this game, but like somehow I managed to persevere. Strangely, every barrel level can suddenly take a turn and feel different than the last. This one was pretty textbook, except we just had to, like, dodge a single wild. And even then, it wasn't much of a challenge to just get the heck out of the way. Here, I just dipped down a little bit on that ladder to influence this fireball to also go down a ladder and get the heck out of the way. That's a little trick you can do to try and influence the fireball to move out of position so you can get across there. Each spring that drops between Donkey Kong's legs here is known as a long, and if it falls on the foot, it's known as a short. So you'll see a lot of like spring tutorials or whatever that will just talk about long and short. The long is between the legs and the short is on the foot. We're looking for one long followed by a one short. And we get it right there. There's a few unsafe jumps in this game. Like, I'm very lucky that the game didn't decide to, like, roll the barrels differently, but, like, I mean... I have, like, gone back and looked at these jumps frame by frame, and very few of them are not recoverable in some fashion. It's fine to take a risky jump as long as you know that you have enough space to, like, proceed to do another jump, or at least get the heck out of the way of the barrels that are coming at you. The Firefoxes can absolutely try to bum rush you as you're trying to get that hammer. You're just gonna have to learn the spacing and the timing of how long it takes for a Firefox to get from where they are to the hammer so that you don't jump up and try and get the hammer and wind up, like, dropping onto the Firefox. Because 100% the Firefox's job is to touch you and make you lose a life. I'm not entirely sure if the Firefoxes are programmed specifically to bum rush Mario at all, but it does kind of seem that way at times, and if a Firefox decides to bum rush you and you aren't prepared in advance, you can just not have the spacing to avoid dying. So you always want to be thinking about how far you are away from a potential death in this game, so that you can just reposition if you think you're in danger. The other factor I would say is, like, you don't want to be too much further away than just being safe, in a safe position. You also want to be in a position where you can exit the level as quickly as possible, or score the most potential points as possible if you're not going for a kill screen, if you're going for points. You always want to be in a position to complete the objective as quickly as possible when you're shooting for a kill screen. And so don't put yourself too far away from danger, or more than you need to be, if it means that you're going to compromise your distance from completing the objective. That's not the way to earn a kill screen. That wild was not particularly dangerous, but I needed to sort of like back up and reposition for the barrel that was coming at me anyway. If I thought that I had an opportunity to jump the wild and the rolling barrel at the same time for 300, I might have tried that. But the angle was really weird and I just didn't chance it. It was also in a weird place where, like, if I hadn't been paying attention to what was going on above me, there might have been, like, a barrel that rolled from the ladder above and, like, got in a weird position, so I just backed up and got to safety. We dip our toe here to influence the fireball again to go down the ladder so we can get across. We get to the first safe position, we wait for the short. Now we wait for a long. There's a short right after it, so we're safe. Actually, that short was about as short as it could possibly be. Without being dangerous. I think I got kind of lucky that we did not get hit by a spring there. That barrel came down the middle ladder and challenged my position. I backed off and waited and went back up. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to come completely off the ladder. If you think you're going to get challenged, you can, like, just sit halfway up the ladder, and if it decides to go down, you can back up then, but, like, I don't do that because that has not been favorable for me to this point. But I think if I were playing more for points and not a kill screen, I probably would sit a little lower on the ladder if I was just waiting for the barrel to either steer down the ladder or go across. Little bit of a challenge here, just kind of waiting for firefoxes to get the heck out of the way, but they do. As long as they get out of the way, that's fine. If you can have patience to wait for them to get out of the way, that's better than just rushing in thinking, oh, they'll get out of the way and chancing it. Sometimes, including myself, players get obsessed with executing a pattern through this level, and they get so frustrated when they can't execute the pattern of movement that they just decide to do something extremely risky, and they wind up taking a death because of it. Definitely, it's entirely worth it to put Mario in a position where he's not getting hit by a firefox. But also just sort of patiently waiting for the firefox to get out of the way instead of, like, trying to dance around the firefox or putting Mario in a compromised position. Where's my 300 at, game? Come on now. These barrels fall a little weird, kinda. So I decide to steer as many as I can, and then I think several times before I go up this ladder, I try to steer, but I steer too late, and then it just winds up creating a more complex pattern of jumping. But, you know, it's only an extremely bad thing if you can't survive it. This pie was late enough that I could go straight up from the bottom and just avoid the pie entirely and then go all the way to the top. And that last fireball was right up in my face. Had I been any later going up the ladder, I would have died. But I felt like the spacing was good and I went for it. It turned out just fine. Yeah, that was a pretty risky play right there. I don't know if I would have done that again. I think I would have backed off to the right and then, like, looked for a better jump and then steered away whatever else was occurring, but I definitely probably wouldn't have done that again. Springs of springs. Let's wait for a long and then a short. I don't know that I'll fast forward too many of the barrels because anything could happen. I don't remember what happened stage to stage. And there's a lot of steering going on. I would have preferred to steer that. So I did this, right? This was not the smartest play I've ever done. Here we missed a steer right there, and instead of just going up and jumping, we should have just stayed right here and steered as many of these out of the way as we could. I really put myself at risk in this play of Donkey Kong throwing a wild into a set of jumps and just complicating the scenario and wind up dying. I would definitely prefer next time to just steer those barrels away instead of doing what I did. There was some plays in here where I got pretty impatient for sure. And I can point those out as I come across them. Man, I crossed this because I see a Firefox going up. I definitely should not have done that. I definitely shouldn't be going down here either. I should be going up and getting the hammer. This is weird. I don't know why I did what I did. I think it winds up being favorable anyway, but like, oh my gosh. There are so many situations in this game where I deserve to lose an extra life, and I don't. Why I'm not steering some of these here, I don't know. I fail one steer and then I just decide to just go. I was definitely very impatient on some of these barrels. I'm just late steering one barrel, and then instead of trying to steer the rest of the barrels appropriately, I just stop trying to steer, and then I go up. So I felt that the fireball above me was challenging the ladder to the right. So what I've done more recently in pies is just a default to grabbing the hammer whenever I can't go up. And that has saved my butt many times. I don't think it's a bad idea to grab the hammer. So long as you're not like jumping to the left toward the ladder, or jumping to the right toward, or jumping to the left toward the hammer, jumping to the right toward the hammer, and then wind up dropping onto a fireball or a pie. That's the only thing you need to look out for when you're grabbing that hammer. Easier said than done, I know, but also critical when you're grabbing the hammer to not fall onto an enemy. This was a pretty clean hammer. This was a pretty clean board overall. I steered everything really well, and then just like, man, that was fast. Wow. I think by this point I realized that my play is just like super clean and that I'm very focused. I don't know yet that this is like the best run I've ever played, or that it's going to be the best run that I've ever played, but I know for sure that like I'm playing better and with more focus right now than I normally would. And 300,000 points is not a big deal for me. That's like a sort of a default average score for a clean start that I just don't care about anymore. I'm definitely looking for another 400k. I have like, I think 10 or 11 400ks already. And I have 2 500ks and now obviously a 700k. Here I have to take the hammer and like move over and try and get the fireball, but the fireball just graciously gets out of the way. As if to say, this is the game for you. I've never seen that fireball get out of the way like that. Not in a game I'm playing. We're doing the same pattern here that we always do. On rivets. And we're looking for this guy, and I did not have appropriate spacing there. I definitely could have taken a death at the hammer. Had that Firefox not decided to quickly move to the right as it was in my face. We got real lucky on that hammer. And here I wait for another Firefox to come up the ladder before I grab this hammer. I don't know if this is a bad play or not. Like, I know now that I'm gonna have to wait for those Firefoxes to come up, and then I might as well do something with my time so I start leeching Kong here. But obviously now they're just in the way. They're going to be continued to get in the way because there's 2 of them. So I just go for an exit. I feel like level 10 is this turning point where like either you're going to settle into playing similar stages over and over and over and over again for endurance. That was just extra great steering, holy crap. I knew that one was gonna miss before I even saw it. Not really a big deal. This hammer's pretty good. It's pretty safe, and it netted some pretty good points. At least for a kill screen attempt, that was pretty good. Some challenge from the fireballs above, and I just grabbed the hammer as a default. But then this guy just makes some incredible space. And I do have to wait for this ladder, but it's fine, whatever. I have to wait twice, actually. Which is good, because I would have rushed headlong into another fireball and died. There's this weird thing that the fireball does, though. Alright, so this fireball goes right up. And it seems to go up that ladder with, like, more speed than I'm used to seeing. And I really don't know what to think about that. I don't know if they're programmed to go up the ladder. Oh, wow. I just looked at the fireball on the right there, and it went up that ladder pretty dang fast. So I guess the maximum speed of these fireballs when you're later in a level is pretty high. Boy, that changes my opinion of spacing when they're coming from the bottom up toward Mario. I wasted a lot of time trying to get up to the top in this level, and I, like, didn't steer as effectively as I wanted to, but I was more focused on just, like, keeping a safe position. But overall, it never hurts to try to get to the top faster. But I would say for a kill screen, I would prefer to mitigate risk more than go fast. We took 0 spring deaths in this run, and it was a major contributing factor. Here, this wild comes straight down in a diagonal. We convert it into a 300-point jump. It's the perfect time for a 300-point jump. It happens usually for me at least once in a game, and I just take the 300 points. There was nothing to steer here after that first group, and I just decided to come up the ladder. I think that was pretty safe. Decent hammer, smashed a lot. Good deal. There was no reason I shouldn't have gone straight up that ladder. Let's go back. Let's go back and look at it again. After this hammer expires, there's no reason why I shouldn't go straight up that ladder. I could definitely gotten up the ladder and just jumped the first barrel and not waited for it to roll. I was being entirely too extra safe on that. There was no danger at all from that barrel. I've seen that a lot in this recording. Obviously I've watched it back already because I've edited it into 2 other videos that have already been posted, but like, yeah. There definitely are some situations here where I try to be more safe than I should be. That spacing was probably fine for that hammer jump. And I was probably, it was probably okay. Like, I don't think I was any danger from that Firefox. But I did turn and back down a little bit before I turned and smashed it. Because I was very afraid it was just gonna bum rush Mario. In the back. Here I try to like, yeah, I try to like tow down the ladder and just get the Firefox out of the way so I can go leech some more points. But my bonus timer is running down anyway, so I just decide to exit. If this were not a kill screen run, there are so many opportunities for points that I've just thrown away. Kind of crazy. Again, if I see some behavior from a barrel where I think the barrel is challenging my position on ladder, I have backed off of every single ladder in this game. I don't think I need to do that, but I also know that I am not skilled enough to back off of the ladder as the barrel's coming at me. But eventually I will have to be. You'll see a lot of better players than me will back off of a ladder with the barrel coming down at them. They'll back off of the ladder and they'll convert that barrel coming down into a jump for, you know, 100 points. Or, you know, if they're really lucky, a group for 300 points. That's something I have yet to add to my arsenal. But someday, maybe we will. This is a terrible play, and the reason why it's a terrible play is because there's... Yeah, we're pinned down by the 2 fireballs to our left and the 2 that are above. And I'm patient enough to back down and wait for it to play out, but overall I shouldn't have been playing on the right-hand side anyway. Steering. I didn't steer the second one. The spacing was okay. I don't think I was in any danger there. I've seen players do worse. Actually, had I not moved to the right here way too early, I probably could have gotten 2 extra barrel smashes for another 600 points. But there were a few barrel boards where I moved to the right early. And for whatever reason, I feel like that's more safe instinctually as I'm playing, but it isn't. The level of focus that I have when I'm approaching springs is entirely different from the rest of the game. It is just a tunnel vision unlike anything else. I'm reading chat here and I'm going late. Yeah. I was streaming when I was playing this game, and I read chat for a little bit. I was like, it was like discussing something with chat, and I was just late to the first ladder. But we turned it into a pretty good hammer. This was our only bottom hammer of the game. If you're shooting for a kill screen, if you're just shooting to get acclimated to the game and, like, play the long game to the kill screen, there's no reason to learn bottom hammer right away. You can learn bottom hammer when you've become very familiar with surviving the long game and you're ready to shoot for the million. I can't wait for that, man. I'm super excited about that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We're just trying to do our pattern, and this jerk is getting in the way. There's no reason at all why I should jump and get this hammer right now. The Firefoxes, had I been patient enough to just wait here, the Firefoxes get out of the way, and I can get this rivet no problem. But instead, I play this hammer. Let's see if this gets us into trouble. I bet it does. I decide to go up and get the second hammer. Oh, and then I'm just going to play for a bunch of smashes. Okay, of course I am. I'm going to play for a bunch of points. And you know what happens? I get a bunch of 300s and one 500. I actually got far less points out of that than I could have. Ooh, that guy could have definitely taken a life. That guy could have taken a life. Now we're in a position right here where if we don't get Jumpman out of this area, then this fireball can come up and pinch us into a position where we either have to go this way or this way and down. I mean, it's a high risk situation. Taking that top hammer and smashing all those fireballs and having them spawn on the right like that was just an extremely risky proposition. Not being patient enough to wait for the Firefoxes to get out of the way so I could take that top left rivet cost us all of this. All of these bonus points, all of this risk. Very badly played rivet, but we lived. We did not lose a life here, which is shocking. It's shocking because the risk was really high. We steer what we can here. I steered late. I do this thing a lot where if I fail a steer, I just stop trying, and it's stupid. Like, I should continue to try to steer barrels even if there's one that I missed. I should definitely continue to try and steer them. And you might think as you listen to this commentary, hey, he's being really hard on himself. If you want to play this game seriously for competition, you have to be hard on yourself. You have to. You can't just accept your own mediocrity. That's not the way. This guy freezes, so I just go up. There are a lot of situations where fireballs, if you know that they are freezers, you can be ready for them to freeze and you can just take advantage of of that state and do something with it. Great steering, great steering there. Hammer could have been better if I had just stayed near the broken ladder instead of moving to the right. I can say that that's probably the last time I'll say this in this commentary because I do it a lot in this game. We dip the toe to get the fireball out of the way. We have plenty of time to jump across after he's gone. We had a lot of favorable, like, long-short combinations in this game as well. It made this game really easy. When you have a game where there's just, like, a bunch of longs in a row, mostly it's usually a bunch of longs in a row, it really starts to wear on your patience, and then you just, like, die because your patience wore thin. That sucks. It really sucks. It's extremely important to have patience. Now look, I'm gonna explain something here that I think is... Like, I was mentally prepared for what I was doing here, and I was probably aware of this, but Kong's released this barrel to the right here, and he is ready to pick up another one. And what am I doing? I'm going up the ladder. He's grabbing another barrel, which he can drop directly on my head. And he tries to, and he misses because I'm ready for it, but the better option is just to not go up the ladder while he's in position to grab another barrel. I mean, from level 5 forward, it's really the only time you have to think about it. So, yeah, think about it before you go up the ladder. Just a beautiful left-hand star pattern there. Like, the Firefoxes were so cooperative. And here, I'm not going to cross. It would be foolish to cross. I cross anyway for no reason. I don't know why I did that. And they wind up blocking the position to the hammer as a result. And wow. And now we're just like... Now we're just messing around. Okay. Sure. Okay. I don't know, man. That was not the play. Okay. How's our steering here? It's non-existent. But you know what? It's okay. We steer there. That's kind of... Steering before we get to this platform is kind of the important part. And it's the part that, like, generates the most speed in the climb, so, like... Yeah. We take a hammer to the right, way too early, as we did several times in this particular run. I don't think going to the right here actually produces anything that's favorable to accumulating a higher score at all. The better position is definitely to wait with the hammer on the barrel stages below Kong at the broken ladder. Pretty much a freebie. Pretty much. I could watch this game all day because there's so many good plays. There's a lot of really late steering in this game too, though. It just isn't excessive enough to really create a problem. It did in level 5, but other than that... Actually, it creates a problem in level 5 and it creates another problem in level 19.5. Which ends the run at 19.5. So, I cannot emphasize enough, really, the importance of learning steering once you've learned springs first. Getting to level 4 and learning springs should be your top priority, in my opinion, as a Donkey Kong player. A lot of people disagree with me and say that learning steering is core to the game. I think if you learn steering before you're able to get to level 5, then you lose the experience of just being able to jump really complicated jumps. I think it's okay to put yourself in this position where you're just not able to steer in levels 1 through 4, and you just have to jump everything. Because you're gonna wind up, like, learning all of these weird groupings of barrels that now you know how to jump them because you didn't know how to steer to begin with. And that way, if something doesn't steer correctly, or, you know, if it just no steers, that can happen too. If the game just decides it doesn't want to steer, then you know what to do. You know how to jump. So don't be afraid when you're first learning this game to not learn how to steer right away. It's okay to learn how to jump complicated groups of barrels. You don't want to learn intentional grouping, for sure, until you're, you know, more skilled in other areas of the game. I die here because I create a situation where I'm pinched between two fireballs on the left and the right. Anyway, yeah. There's no need to worry about learning steering of barrels right away until you've mastered the spring first. Have fun experiencing, like, jumping very complicated groupings of barrels for a few months, at least, until you're acclimated to that, and then you can learn steering. I learned to play this game in a few different stages. The first thing that I did is I watched other players play this game on live streams for about 3.5 years before I decided to pick it up myself. And then when I picked it up myself, I played it for a year already. And I would say it was probably a solid 3 to 4 months before I effectively steered any barrels at all. And so I definitely learned springs before I learned steering. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think jumping can be very fun, and I think jumping complicated groupings of barrels can be very fun. And it can be very challenging as well, and when you feel challenged by the game, I think if you're the kind of person who is competitive, you will really enjoy being challenged by the game. Finding some way that you enjoy playing the game is really, really, really important. If you really want to find a way to play this game competitively. If you don't enjoy the game, there's really no reason to play it at all. But I definitely didn't have that problem myself. I was immediately hooked from the moment I just immediately from the first game. Was absolutely hooked. You can see that it's now it's just like barrel board after barrel board after barrel board, excuse me. We're just steering more effectively. The hammers are more effective. We're keeping a safe position. Every single time we do this more effectively in a run, it increases our chances of a higher score, but more importantly, since I'm going for the kill screen here, it's increasing my chances of a kill screen. That spring was great. Wow, that one... Yeah, I know, that one... That wild definitely scared the crap out of me. No doubt about it. I thought for sure I was going to land on that wild when I jumped for the hammer. There's a move that you can do right here. Obviously, like, seasoned players will take this for granted. But here, the hammer expires and I go to the right and I jump here. As I'm jumping here, I'm pressing in midair, I'm pressing the stick to the left. And it's steering this barrel down. You can totally steer barrels while you're on a ladder or midair. I've noticed a lot of players, they just don't know that they can do that. So yeah, give it a try. Here's another star pattern. The umbrella was being... You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The umbrella just didn't want to be picked up. I was about to say something that would have been completely inappropriate for YouTube. But then I didn't. We have one Firefox left here because we played this board almost perfectly. All the decisions were very good, except this right here, we just end the level for no reason. What? Why we did not stay in Leech Kong for more points, I will never understand. Man. We threw away 2,500 points, if not more there. Probably threw away 3,000 points on that last board. basically no steered both of those barrels that we just jumped. I mean, I tried to steer them. They looked like they looked like they weren't late steers. So I guess they both no steered. No, a no steer is basically when you try to steer a barrel, and steering is not a 100% probability in any board. And you just happen to hit the bad luck, and the barrel doesn't steer. Sometimes the barrel can also, instead of rolling, just automatically steer on its own. This is called an auto steer or an auto. We had a lot of fireballs down straight out of the gate here, and I was not about to challenge them, and I decided, okay, maybe we just do the hammer. The hammer isn't enough here, and we have this very persistent fireball who trades positions with another very persistent fireball, and now we've really got a situation. And the only thing that we can do here is just be very patient and constantly reposition ourselves out of danger. Do everything we can to play it right and play it safe. That guy froze, and I knew, based on his behavior, that he was going to freeze and then pause and then go directly down the ladder, and that was going to be my shot. The only reason that I knew that is because I've seen them do it many times before. But of course, if you're watching this video, you might see that sooner than I did. A couple wilds there, I just decided to get out of the way because I saw some barrels above me that could have produced a compromising position. I didn't want those barrels to like fall into a jump or something and kill me, so I just backed up. I took safety as a default behavior there. Ding. What? Yeah, I don't regret playing this board the way I did. We probably saved an extra life because of the way I played that barrel board. Yeah. I kinda botched getting this fireball out of the way the first time, and I just decided to wait and do it a second time. Yeah, going to the right was perfect. Going to the left, I definitely waited entirely too long. There were a couple springs there where I could have gone to the left sooner. Dude, why not, though? Okay, so there's something that I noticed this too when I was editing earlier. I go up this ladder here and I jump this barrel. And as I'm jumping this barrel, there is no reason at all why I should not be pushing right on the handle to steer this one down. And I just fail to do it. I just fail to do it. And like it produces like a couple extra jumps, but like still, there was no reason to not steer that midair. Otherwise, a pretty beautiful board. It was actually quite nice. There is absolutely no rivet board where I do not have the word star in my head on the left-hand side here. My top priority is the star pattern on the left-hand side. Once I star pattern the left-hand side, there's no reason for me to be even concerned about which pattern I'm playing on the right-hand side. I'm simply going to be playing the safer pattern. And I used to think that the safer pattern was to play away from the Firefoxes and do whatever get the rivets that are away from the Firefoxes, but now if I have an opportunity, I will immediately go up to the second hammer and eliminate as many Firefoxes as I can to influence their spawn on the left-hand side and get trapped. It is most certainly a better strategy. The only way you can convince yourself that this is a better strategy is to try it for yourself, and then you see the potential in it, and eventually you're just like, yeah, that's a better strategy for sure. This barrel board is incredible. It's actually quite good, and it was extremely fast. Like, I'm really happy with how fast that climb was. That's very good. The fireball challenges my position on the way up to the ladder, but then he gets out of the way. Like, pretty immediately. I was challenged on the left, though, and I think the better behavior here would have been to back down to the first hammer, and just take the first hammer and get some points out of the way before I come back and reassess. Because I think I made this board more complicated here than it needed to be. Just due to lack of patience. And this fireball horses around for some time before he eventually just gets out of the way, but... Man. He's just ticking away my bonus timer. He's just stealing points. Like, he's just absolutely obliterating my points. And then finally he goes up. And he leaves me with 1,000 bonus timer, but it's enough. So this is so we hit 600,000 points here, and this is the board where I'm like, we have 600,000 points, and we have one extra life to work with, and I'm thinking to myself, potentially this is the run where either we're going to get a kill screen or we're going to get a really good PB that just blows our current PB out of the water. And it turned out that it wound up being a PB, but like it's a PB that's like 200,000 points more than my previous PB. It's really, really nice. Yo, what? Hold the phone. Let's frame by frame that sucker. Okay, this is fine. I'm moving here. Now, I'm waiting for one between the legs. Dude, I mean, that pattern of springs did not need to let me survive. I think if the second spring had been open, it probably would have killed me. I got really lucky there. That definitely could have been a spring death. There just are sort of coincidentally times where you can get 2 long springs and the second long spring won't kill you. I definitely have video evidence of this, not from my own gameplay, but from another player's gameplay that I hope to share in my upcoming, like, extremely short tutorial for springs. It'll definitely be a short and not like a long form video. I don't think anyone needs more than like 10 or 15 seconds to explain springs. It's something that can be explained pretty quickly. I try to like get this guy go out of the way, and he just pushes me out of the way. He's like, "You're not getting the hammer. Just get out of the way." And I'm like, "Fine, I won't take the hammer. But I am gonna take all the rivets." And I'm left with this situation where now I'm working with 4 firefoxes here, and there's this freezer in the middle of them that just will not get out of the way and just guards this hammer with his life. And the bonus timer's ticking away. And okay, he doesn't freeze that time, and I died. Okay. Well. Don't mess around when you got a firefox on the left and you have a freezer that could potentially challenge you by coming down to your platform. If he comes down the ladder and you have the opportunity to go down another level, then just don't challenge that. Like, if you're going for a kill screen and you want to reduce risk, don't challenge that. Why would we grab a hammer here? I don't know. There's no reason to grab a hammer here for one firefox, in my opinion. I think if I were in my right mind here, I would just wait for that firefox to freeze and then exit the level by grabbing the 2 rivets. I make no attempt to steer any of these. Whoa. Yeah, the steering, apparently my brain did not feel like steering anything this level. Like, what the heck happened? The nice thing is it produced a pretty fast run, though, for this board. Despite the fact that I steered almost nothing. I got there just in time to jump over that pie. That fireball felt a little bit too challenging for me. I'm pretty sure he could have burned my butt, so I didn't push it. I just took Took a moment, utilized my patience, and waited for him to get out of the way. We're back to steering. Probably because I thought to myself, hell, I didn't steer anything in the last level. So we better steer them now. And 100% do not regret it. I didn't anticipate that wild at all. And so wound up not smashing the wild. Definitely cost some points. I could have jumped there for sure. Not sure why I hesitated or waited. I think I remember this spring here being a little bit kind of risky, but I don't know, let's see. No, it's actually pretty clean. Yeah, I think we win as soon as we could. There was an absolute immediate sense in my mind. Like, I cannot waste this life. I can't. I cannot, and I will not waste this life. I must do everything I can. I have to do everything I know how to do and absolutely execute in this life to take this life as far as it possibly can. That jump was safe there, on the corner. I have frame by frame to that jump, and it's fine. Even if the barrel would have decided to go down toward my head, it would have missed, so... I think I knew that the spacing was okay, and I just took the risk. The two fireballs there on top were a little challenging, and I patiently waited. This is absolutely the... Why did you cross there? You dumb cuff. Oh, come on. I mean, it leaves me with one Firefox up top, and I just exit rather than maybe... I probably could have taken the top hammer there, or really anything at all to try and salvage some more points, but I just exit. I do sometimes, like, steer barrels at extremely short range these days, just so that they fall down ladders faster and I can jump them in an effort to just get them out of the way. The fireball was challenging me there, but I knew that I had time to get up and jump the blue barrel. So my goal was to position myself away from the fireball. It worked. The two fireballs there that decided to come down out of the oil barrel were both freezers, and they both froze, and they created a very good possibility for me, so I took it. I didn't even try to steer that. I steered it later, but whatever. And as we're getting closer and closer and closer to 700,000 points, I'm just losing my mind. And it happens right here. I've never had a 600,000 point game ever. And we just bypassed 500, 600K, went 700,000 points. I know it's critical to not take a spring death pretty much every time. Once I'm at, you know, maybe like once I'm past like level 9 or level 10, I know I can't take a spring death. I know that the extra life is just too valuable to take a spring death. There are several times where I'm going up ladders below Kong or jumping up to get the hammer below Kong, and he's absolutely in a position where he could throw a wild down and hit Mario. This is obviously a place where I have room for improvement. But it is absolutely, it's also something that everybody can be looking for. Like, you can definitely play a safer game if you're not, like, jumping up for the hammer or coming up the ladder below Kong while he's in a position where he could wild a barrel on top of you. Again, there's probably no reason to just jump up and grab the hammer here as opposed to grabbing that rivet on the left. This is an error. Luckily, it doesn't produce a problem, but, like, you know, it definitely could have ended the run. Like, I guess it produces a more complicated game here, for sure. And I do something here that I would never recommend anyone do. I have just killed every single Firefox on the left-hand side, and I have spawned them all on the right-hand side, directly below the last rivet that I need to accumulate, and they are gracious enough to wait for me. But they didn't have to be. Just really effective steering here makes this board, for sure. It's sort of unreal how many times I'm able to just go straight up on the pies in this game, and for it to happen in level 19 is just, like, astonishing. It's just the best case scenario. Good steering toward the top there. I've seen absolutely insane, like extreme controller movements from some players in this game when they're trying to steer barrels out of the way, and I don't really understand that. Like, beyond level 5, I mean. I understand when they're trying to, like, maximize the steering below level 5, but, like, yeah, man. Some players do be extremely aggressive with the joystick handle when they're trying to steer barrels. It's wild. I'm so happy I didn't screw this spring up. That would have been the worst death ever. We make a couple great moves here. That spring was not entirely safe, but hey, whatever. Jump too early, and that's the end of the game. Now, jumping too early here is really not the reason that I die. The reason that I actually die is kind of hard to see, so let me go ahead and run this back. Okay, here. I'm at the top of the ladder, right? And we're going to slow-mo this. Big time. I jump this barrel to the left. And if you had seen, if you were able to see my joystick on the screen at this point, I'm continuing to hold to the left, and it's steering this barrel down. And then I jump to the left again, and it steers this barrel down. That barrel would have continued over here, potentially would have come down here, or even just rolled off the end. But man, it definitely would have been a safer jump than having landed here and having to either, well, I don't know that I have enough space to back jump this. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to wait until this thing's right up on me and then either jump straight up or forward jump. I didn't do either one. I forward jump in a knee-jerk reaction and I just jump right on top of it. It's a pretty bad death, really. But the score's not bad. And that's a new PB.